Hey, everyone out there, welcome to Mark's Game Room podcast, where every month one of us comes in with a strange military history event, and we all try to put our heads together to figure out how to make that into a fun war game scenario. So we give you a little behind the scenes and how we make our award-winning scenarios and give you some fun history.
Wait, award-winning? What awards do they give for war game scenarios?
Oh, I don't know. I won the PEL and all that for some of my stuff.
Oh, that's true.
I'm claiming it.
You're right. Historicon does give you awards, but for running the game, not for the scenario.
Well, it looked good and people are having fun, right? So
okay, you tell yourself that.
This is Mark's Game Room channel.
I gave myself an award. So.
That's right.
Charlie gave me an award.
There you go.
We're getting down to participation trophy level here. All right, we should move on.
Well, speaking of that, we have Ben with us again. Hey, Ben.
Hi, I'm contributing.
Yes, we have first time with us, Austin from the Game Room. Hey, Austin.
Hey, all. Glad to be here.
And Matt, who is going to take the helm this time. He has the interesting event. So we're going to stick to him, and it's the Battle of Itter Castle. Is that right?
Right. That's right. I am the captain now. It's my ship.
Yes. Okay.
And yes, it's the Battle of Castle Itter.
You get the award this time.
Hey, there you go. Well, we'll see. We're gonna collectively invent the scenario.
Yeah. So, all right. So we always start, or I always start when I'm doing a scenario, the inspiration, right? Like, why was I inspired, or what inspired me to pick this particular event? So let's start that. What was your inspiration for picking the Battle of Itter Castle, Matt?
So this one is like a famously weird battle. So I've seen references to it many times. Usually the tagline for this one is that it's so weird that Hollywood hasn't picked it up because it's just a wild story. And I think the source that I saw when I was looking into it to try to write some of this and to have an idea going in, I saw a lot of sources that referenced a couple of really good books, but there was one who's an Austrian man who gives tours in the area who had a video on this, and I thought that was the most engaging and had the most detail, which is good for wargaming. So I thought that was enough to give this some backbone. So I thought this was a good story for our purposes.
Yeah, details, like that's super important. I think writing scenarios, right? Like some people I've gamed with, right? They want to write a scenario and they have an idea, and I say, well, is there any information on it? And it's like they want to do something really obscure, and there's not enough, right? So finding something that's got some good crunchy detail is always really helpful. And it sounds like you got that.
I don't know how crunchy, but there's enough. That's maybe enough. Just enough. All right. And we can invent the rest.
All right, so that's your inspiration. Like, lay it on us. What's happening here?
All right, so we can start in the castle itself, Itter Castle. It gets built 1200s. It's perched super dramatically above a little Tyrolean village in Austria. And over the centuries, it gets fought over. You have some bishops who fight over it, and an archbishop, and Bavarians. And at one point, it gets abandoned, and all the locals just start stealing.
I'm getting a like horror vibe now.
Yeah, it looks like a Dracula castle, especially when they pull all the keystones out to make their houses.
Right. So we could have like vampire or something.
That's right. So this thing it's just a ruin. And then fast forward to World War II, it gets repaired a little bit. Nazis take over Austria. SS nabs the castle. They're like, this is ours now. It's my castle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at this point,
I was gonna say, what about that castle like Indiana Jones? Like that's the vibe.
Yeah,
it's very much like the SS to go and grab an old historical evil-looking castle.
And then what are they gonna do with it? They turn it into a VIP prison for high-profile French prisoners. So they start sticking like Charles de Gaulle's sister in it, who's this like French resistance leader, and former prime ministers and generals and trade union leaders, all these like all-stars in France's politics, and a tennis champion, Jean Baratra.
They stuck a tennis champion in there.
Why not?
Did they not like tennis, or was this a general?
He has political clout. He's worth something in the trade, I guess.
I guess.
All right. So is this like Club Med prison? Like, is it like not a
It's not super nice, but it's still a high profile prison, so they like have media there sometimes, and it's nice enough. It is adjoining Dachau, but so there is actually some overlap in the administration of the two, but it's obviously much nicer. Like they'll have.
If I'm getting a choice between like Alcatraz and cool vampire Castle Itter, I'd rather be held in Itter.
I honestly, I guess.
But not by the SS, actually. Let me take that back.
That's right. The one thing to keep in mind is that Jean Barat was there. It's this tennis champion, but also France's like lead minister of sport at the time. So I like to think that they were like going at it. They had some grudge.
Wow, I mean, the Nazis were really scared of the minister of sports.
Minister of sport, yeah.
Wow.
They had a lot of unusual choices, like the training.
I think Jesse Owens scarred Hitler, and all of this stems from the Olympics.
So.
It might. So by spring of 45, everything in the Nazi world is falling apart. April 29, Americans liberate Dachau, which we've just established as adjoining. One of Dachau's now very panicked former commanders, Edward Weiter, he flees. He shows up in Itter Castle, and he's looking for somewhere to hide.
Wait, so Edward Witter comes to Itter Castle?
Weiter! German is hard. Yes. Witter ends up dying in Itter because he ends up dead the next day. He's got a bullet in his head and no one knows how it got there.
And then his cousin Bitter shows up.
Someone hated the castle. It was a case of mistaken identity.
Maybe, but it's a mystery. He ends up dead. He's got a bullet in his head, and his entire command freaks out about it. They don't know what to do. They don't know if he killed himself or if someone's out there killing some of these people. So they all book it. Sebastian Wimmer is the guy who takes over. He just bails. He takes his whole command and leaves. They leave the armory. They just go. So these
are all the SS guards.
Those are all the SS guards. They're gone. So the only people left are the French political prisoners, their chef, and like an attendant.
Of course, the French have to have their chef.
They have a personal chef. Personal chef, funnily enough. We'll get to him. He's a Yugoslav who is imprisoned in Dachau, and then they sent him here. He turned out to be a partisan member. So he was a former Yugoslav like insurgent, and then they didn't really know that about him, so he ends up here. So with all of these folks having left, the French VIPs are in a better state, right? They're now allowed to walk around the castle, but they're not free yet.
They just let everyone go.
They just let them go.
Even the tennis player.
Even the tennis player. He's just roaming.
You can keep those guys locked up, my man. I don't care.
Yeah. The problem, though, is that all these SS troops are still wandering around the Austrian countryside. At this point, they know things are going badly, so they're just kind of looking to take it out on everyone around them. So they're expecting, rightfully, these French folks, that if they run into this kind of patrol, they're going to get killed. So this is this crazy time where Germany's kind of falling apart. Yes.
Right? And there's a lot of wandering kind of armed groups that aren't necessarily part of anything anymore. Right. There's all this talk of like the SS building fortresses in the Bavarian Alps, right?
They're like hanging people that they claim as deserters because they're not fighting. They're just ravaging the countryside.
The German army is basically disintegrating into armed banditry.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, if I was the French, I'd stay in that castle.
And so they do. So what they do
with my personal chef
and tennis,
we'll get to him.
Get tennis lessons.
Get tennis lessons. They probably aren't equipped for that. So enter Zvonimir Chuchkovich, who's a Yugoslav communist handyman, and he's been imprisoned at Itter. He's their like handyman for the castle, and he volunteers after he gets asked by these French folks to have a 40-mile bike ride through Nazi territory, armed with just this note in hand that explains the prisoners are here and they need help. And he's biking and he's avoiding patrols, and he actually makes it. He reaches American troops just outside Innsbruck.
Wow.
Oh, he's lucky.
He just barely.
I thought he was not going to make it through this story.
You would think. So the Americans in Innsbruck, they scramble to get a rescue together, right? So they're like figuring out how much armor can we devote to this? What are we going to do here? And they end up sending a patrol with a little bit of armor and some jeeps to go rescue these guys, but they encroach inside of the area that a different command is supposed to be, like a 13th Corps is supposed to be holding, and they get yelled at and turned around.
So we had a rescue mission going, and we just ran into like a different troops area. It's like, no, don't you?
This isn't for you. You can go back. We'll figure it out.
We will take care of this tennis
That's right.
and personal chef situation. You leave that personal chef to us. We got this.
That's right. So instead, the French are getting worried because it's been a while. This guy had to bike 40 miles, and they haven't heard from him. So they send their cook, Andreas Krobot. So now they're without a cook. I'm sorry.
That is 100% the last person I would send out on the rescue mission. The tennis player's going first. The Minister of Sports is going first with him because I don't like either of them. And then everyone else except the cook. The last two people you will find in that prison are me and the cook.
Who we two last. So Krobot, this cook, he's going down the mountain to try again. He's pedaling, but he doesn't go quite as far. He goes to Virgil, which is a lot closer. And there, the reason the other guy didn't go there is because Virgil is occupied by Germans. And Krobot doesn't really know that. He's not as local. So he pedals in, and he shows up, and he sees a guy in uniform, and he says, "Hi, I have a note. I need help." And this guy turns out to be Major Josef Gangl. Kind of a German name, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's an Austrian, and he has recently changed his allegiance and is no longer interested in supporting the German regime, and he's turned his whole command into partisans. So they are Austrian resistance members, as of very recently.
Fighting against the Nazis.
They're fighting against the Nazis.
Seeing the light.
What they're doing is just holding Virgil, this town, against whatever SS troops are roaming around. So they're trying to prevent executions and all the nonsense that these SS guys are doing when they wander around. So they're on the good guy side here.
So I had a huge feeling from morning when we walked into the town with soldiers. I thought that guy was going to get killed. But really, leaving this castle and just going somewhere is working out great for the people that do it.
It's just going great, yeah. At the very least, they're not stuck in the castle anymore.
Yeah.
This other guy is with the Americans now. He's doing great. So now Gangl, this recently defected Austrian resistance member, he approaches a small American patrol that's nearby. There's a small handful, like 3 Sherman tanks. They're being led by Lieutenant Jack Lee. He's this hard-charging tank commander, and he tells him what's going on, and he is so into it. He is all for this rescue attempt. So he phones to his command and says, "Hey, I know I'm supposed to be guarding this city or whatever, but I would really love to go rescue these French guys."
They got a chef. Right
they
there.
got a
We
chef.
can rescue him.
The chef came to us and he said, "Go rescue my guys. Maybe I'll cook you a meal." So they're into it, and what we get is Lee has to cobble together what I think is the greatest wargaming order of battle of all time, which is 1 Sherman tank, the Besotten Jenny, which is Lee's personal command, 14 American riflemen that are all crammed in 1 truck, and like 7 or 8 former German artillerists who have no idea what they're doing there and speak no English, and a really stressed out Yugoslavian cook who came to go get them all.
You know, this is giving me like Kelly's Heroes vibes. You know?
It really is.
Like, we're so many miles behind the German line, but no one knows we're here.
Well, this guy Jack was it Jack Lee? Is that what
Jack Lee? Lieutenant
I mean,
Jack
that's
Lee.
what a name, right? Like Jack Lee.
And his tank is the Besotten Jenny.
Right. I mean, he's got to be some kind of character. I mean, I would wonder, like, maybe he's this like gung ho guy that gets in the war so late, and he's like, I got to do something. I got to go kick somebody's ass, right?
He is a lieutenant, so it's entirely possible.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. And it's important to note the only way that Jack Lee got the support of these Germans or the Austrian resistance is that he promised to leave his other tanks behind to guard Virgil so that, again, the roaming bands of Nazis don't go.
Dude, I would rather have 2 more Shermans than 7 bewildered artillery that don't speak English.
It's a great point. It's a really good point. And I'm sure they were unhappy about it.
On the other hand, it'd be really, for a war game, it's super fun to have like 7 Germans that don't speak English. And
way more fun. We'll have to talk about the command and control later,
right.
I'm sure.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
So there now this gang, this Scooby-Doo gang, is heading to the castle. And on the way, this is the maybe less well-recorded part. They get into a little skirmish with an SS roadblock that they somehow break through. Sounds like it was pretty small. And then they're continuing on their way to the castle. So they arrive, this group, and they find that the French prisoners, in the meantime, in the interim, have roped in a now reformed SS officer, Kurt Siegfried Schrader, who was, again, super SS guy, but he
was so SS, his initials are SS.
That's
Dude.
true!
Schrader, is he drinking Schrader Brow? That's awesome. There's a little Breaking Bad reference for everyone. Yeah.
So this guy's been recovering. He was wounded, and he's been recovering in the castle, so he knows all the prisoners. And they're kind of friends with him, and he's done. He's done with all this SS stuff. So he's agreed to lead them. So he says. It'll be great for him after the war.
Whether a crisis of conscience or a crisis of, all this is falling apart, maybe I should have a crisis of conscience. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's very convenient. So he's agreed to help lead the defense, because, again, all these French guys are just kind of there. They don't know what to do. And this guy's military experience, almost none of them do. So the Americans roll up, and the French VIPs, who are now being led by this SS officer, are, you might imagine, not super pleased to see that their rescue force is one tank and like a couple squads of very confused guys. So
they have no right to bitch. They sent out they sent out a cook and then
a handyman,
just a random guy, and they got a tank. That's a pretty good deal.
Handyman for tank is a good trade.
Yes,
that's true. So Lee is taking account of his situation here. You have this pretty old castle, a little crumbly, on this huge hill, and it's surrounded by forests, and they are just crawling with SS troops. So he realizes that they're not going to evacuate right now, alive. So he's going to need to hold a bit while they wait for more reinforcements. So they start digging in. The prisoners start raiding the armory of the prison, so they're getting all these Kar 98s and MP40s and things. And the Americans start setting up defenses. So Lee parks Basat and Jenny, his tank, at the only entrance. There's this like drawbridge, and it sits right in front of it. It's like the world's angriest doorstop. And that night, recon forces from the SS start probing, so they know that they're going to get attacked. And
these are like the random bands of
these
SS?
are. So I'll tell you who they are.
Yeah,
they're 100 Waffen SS troops that are being led by this guy Jörg Bachmann. And Jörg Bachmann is this real piece of work. He's a hardline Nazi since 1933. He's an SS officer who was at Dachau. After he got wounded, they sent him to run Dachau for a bit. He fought everywhere from France to the Eastern Front. He survived being wounded, surrounded, court-martialed. Now he's just here and he wants to kill people, I guess.
So my inspiration for the wargaming scenario is one in which we can get him killed.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
He's a definite villain. I mean,
he's the heel of heels. He's like a mega Nazi.
Yeah,
so we want him gone. So he starts, as they're setting up these defenses, they probe in the night. In the morning, they attack. So they open this attack by shelling the castle with 88 millimeter anti-aircraft gunfire, and they rock like a brick, falls on the head of the wife of that reformed Nazi commander. So they realize that this building isn't super structurally sound, and they have to kind of withdraw everyone. And then they start getting actually attacked, and there's like over 100 guys coming in to attack them. They're armed with machine guns, they have mortars, they have those 88s, they have 20 millimeter anti-aircraft guns.
Dude.
They're like armed
That's
with
serious.
Yeah, they're really.
That's like 100. That's like a company of infantry with some serious heavy weapons.
Yeah,
and they just want to go kill a French chef, essentially. Like, what's in the damn castle?
There's no record that I can find that they
like
knew
this French chef
there.
must die. We must be doing everything to kill him.
Well, they must have figured out early on that there's a freaking Sherman Park there, so maybe they thought, there's some American troops, that we can go kill.
I forgot about the doorstop.
They probably noticed that.
It's interesting to think that the rescue attempt may have caused the attack.
Well, so earlier I was thinking, they must have arrived in just the nick of time, because then they show up, and then that night 100 Nazis are probing and checking out. But it's actually a lot more plausible because the Nazis are out there this whole time that they see some American troops go into this castle and they're like, oh, now there's enemy troops, we should attack them.
Everything I found that made an assessed that they probably wanted to use it as their last stand defense. That they wanted the castle so they could defend it. Exactly.
But had they gone in a day earlier, the Americans in the tank wouldn't have been there, and this would have been very easy.
And then they would have just killed all the French folks who were there and set up defenses. So, I mean, the timing might have been perfect, is from what I usually see about it. But who knows?
Thank God for Jack Lee.
Thank God for Jack Lee and Crowbot, that cook, the cook with the biggest balls in history.
Yeah. Well, in the narrative, we will say he arrived in the nick of time.
That's right. So, knowing that this huge attack is coming, the French prisoners initially, former prisoners, get sent into the sort of dungeons so that they won't be targets for enemy fire, especially with these 88s hitting the walls. But they are having none of that. So, like, all these former prime ministers, Charles de Gaulle's sister, they all take their rifles and start manning loopholes around the walls.
That's great.
And yes, and tragically, former French Prime Minister Reynaud is running through the courtyard to get a better firing position, and Major Gongol sees that he's doing that and goes, "Oh my God, save the prime minister!" and like lunges out to go rescue him because he's exposed to all kinds of fire. And Major Gongol gets shot and killed.
Oh no!
Almost instantly, within very, very short order of the battle starting. So the next thing is that Lee's Sherman tank, the Passat and Jenny, at the time just had a radio operator who was trying to fix the radio in it because it was broken. It gets knocked out almost immediately by an 88. And the radio operator just barely makes it out alive. So this thing is just burning at the front of the gate. And that makes whatever of the French who weren't already manning loopholes, they all realize that they lost their major defense there of the tank. So they run up and take positions overlooking the tank.
It's absolutely a do or die moment for them. If they don't win, everyone is going to die here.
So do you know, are they in ramparts or crenellations, or shooting out these arrow slits with machine guns, or what?
They are literally shooting out of former loopholes, these. I can pull up a picture and put it in the chat.
Busted holes in the wall.
Basically, there are normal bow and arrow shooting positions near the entrance. And they're using those. And I think I did see somewhere that a few of them had to break new firing positions in when they relocated. But they're using the castle's pre-built firing positions for the majority of them.
Those still work great for rifles.
They work just fine.
Yeah, they probably don't stop an 88 very well, though.
No, but they'll stop rifle rounds.
That's true.
Depending on how thick this wall is.
It's all good.
Oh, yeah. So Lee realizes things are going badly when Passat and Jenny gets taken out. Yeah. So he has his own radio and he's calling for help. And miraculously, the phone line for this castle actually still works. And he gets through to American forces. But mid-call, the line gets cut intentionally by SS troops. So that's when Jean Baratra, the tennis champion, volunteers for, I think, the craziest side quest in history. And he vaults the castle wall and sprints past all these snipers and 88s and firing positions, and he runs past all these SS patrols, and he finds a different American position. As it happens, he finds the rest of Jack Lee's command that he left behind, and he tells them that they really do need more reinforcements, and he's going to personally guide them back.
Where are Jack Lee's other guys at this point? Are they still at the other village?
They're still in Virgil, which he runs to.
Oh my God.
So mid-assault, this assault is still going in, and this guy just books it. And he makes it past all this stuff, and he finds Jack Lee's other command with Lieutenant Bassey is his second in command. And he's in his own Sherman, the Bosch Buster.
I'm not convinced that everyone in this castle should just leave, because now our third guy leaving the castle during a major battle, surrounded, also makes it out alive. We are 10 for 10 on just going out.
The Germans just want to make a last stand. So they should just say,
Let 'em
make
do
you a
it.
deal. You can
Trade the
come
castles.
in,
And
make your
we'll
last
leave.
stand.
You
We're
go
good.
in. You live in Castle Itter. There's no chef anymore. Bring your own.
Right.
But
I'm looking
let's
up how
trade.
old Charles de Gaulle's sister is. She was born in 1889. So
Wow.
how old would she be at the time?
You can get some
50s.
Nazi shot by grandma.
Not that. Like,
She's 56. She could probably make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they should all just be booking it.
They
I'm
should
with
both-
you.
They should all book it.
So what he's done by making it past is he's alerted more of these Americans, and he's going to lead them back so that he now knows where all these SS positions are. He can guide them through so that they can reinforce.
Oh my God, he's
defenders.
reconning where all the Nazis are dug in
He
and they
did
don't
recon on
shoot
the way
them?
out. Yes, I like to imagine he did this in a tennis outfit.
He
don't
must have
know.
been carrying like a racket with a white cloth tied to it or
so it's
something.
like Kelly's Heroes meets Chariot of Fire. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
So incredible, man, Gene Baratra, he makes it, and that means that Lieutenant Bassi and his Sherman Boschbuster leads this force of American reinforcements. It seems like it's about a company, and they break through SS lines. They actually relieve the castle first, so they arrive and resupply them and give them new ammunition, and then they counterattack out, and the rest of, I think it's Ninth Corps or something, comes in, and they just wipe out whatever's left. The surviving SS, they all get captured or they scatter. They end up what was his name again? The Bachmann, the SS commander, gets captured like miles away. So he really booked it after this one.
We saw the
much
tennis
for
players
last
like, I can do that.
Yeah, there's so much for his last stand, exactly. And I think the most important thing is that the Swedish power metal band Sabaton ends up writing a song about this.
Yes,
called
I
The
was
Last
vaguely
Battle.
remembering. I have heard of this battle, and it's because Sabaton's song about it. It's not one of their best
there you
songs,
go.
in my opinion.
Unfamiliar, but I
yes.
believe it.
Yes, this is all sounding vaguely familiar as we were going through it. I've heard the song. That's
Is
so
it like
funny.
a ballad? Do they like tell you?
Yeah,
a
it's
story
like
in
the
song?
Wehrmacht and the American army are together again.
Again?
Those are not the actual
Let's
lyrics.
hope not. Yeah, really. So Yongle is the only one to die on the Allied side, which I think is kind
Wow.
of
There's only one
Down to
Allied
the
casualty?
only one, and it's the leader of this Austrian resistance group who gets
So
shot
the
by a
tank,
sniper.
the tank blows up and the crew survived?
The only crew who's in at the time is the radio operator, and he
Oh.
bails. He makes it out alive. He was just in there fixing the radio. Thing gets hit, he just books it.
Yeah, the guy who died was the one that was trying to save the prime minister, right?
The Prime Minister, get down!
So if they weren't even in
I'll
the
save
tank,
you.
it sounds like this wasn't in the middle of the battle. The Germans probably set up their 88 inside of the tank and just opened
Yeah.
their attack by blasting it.
They seem to have, from what I could tell of the readings on it, they seem to have first just bombarded the castle generally, but that didn't do very much to it, especially because I think it was very thick stone walls and they were in kind of deeper. And a lot of the time it seemed the French VIPs were actually hiding in the basements and the like dungeons. And a lot of the defenders were up on the top of the castle. So they don't seem to have hit them particularly, apart from the wife of the former SS commander. And then they do eventually exactly sight in on the tank and destroy that. But then it seems like the 88s kind of let up after that when they're starting to really storm the place.
Well, German supplies wasn't great. They might have not had a ton of ammo at the point.
But
Yeah.
they try to storm, but they didn't take it, right? Because the other Americans show up.
Apparently, from the descriptions I saw, there were Germans who were making it to the bridge, so they were like just at the gate. But I'll find you guys. Let me find you a picture of the entrance. It's like your classic super defensible, like Tyrolean fortress where there's one way in and one way out. And it's that entrance with a huge drawbridge.
Do you have a picture? Can you just
Yeah,
share
let me
it?
find you. Castle Itter.
Yeah.
You can
So while
share.
you're looking, let me spitball a little bit. So there's three sort of potential scenarios here, and then the one is sort of that first initial, like, let's blow through the roadblock to get to Castle Itter.
Right.
And then the second and most obvious and most exciting one is the defense of the castle, right?
Hold on, Matt. you just share your screen, like put it
Oh,
up.
share my screen.
Yeah, so we can just
Yeah.
show everyone who's
Put
watching like,
it.
the
Everyone
castle.
on the video. So when
And this is
on the
a
video
now-
serious conference meeting, man.
Oh, it's a very serious conference meeting. Share screen.
we'll make sure to share a picture of Castle Itter in the along with
Wow,
the
that
podcast.
does look like
It's gorgeous. This is a gorgeous.
It's a beautiful castle, and you can see there's this tiny entrance that you can like barely get a tank in. It literally blocked the entrance physically.
Yeah, did they have the Sherman turn like the rear armor of the Sherman? Because I'm not sure how you get in there and then turn around.
I think they might have reversed it, but I've never seen any pictures or anything of it destroyed there.
Mhm.
So
I mean,
unclear.
look at the picture on the left. There's like a picture of the tank.
Someone made that up though.
Oh, okay.
But that does seem to be
Photoshop.
vaguely what they did. They really seem to have parked it in the door. But that's definitely not the right castle. You can see.
Hey, I mean, even a destroyed tank though is going to block the door. You can hardly get over the thing.
Oh, there's the. It's a very bad picture. Maybe that is. I think it's Photoshop, but maybe that really is what the gate.
It's some kind of art.
It's got to be close to the size. They didn't design the castle.
Oh, someone did a Lego. Someone did a
Lego one.
Castle.
Let's go. This is how you wargame it. It's in Lego only.
That is truly a glorious creation, and I would wargame that anytime. Props to whoever did that. That's awesome.
If you go back to the original picture, Matt, I don't know what drew me. They kind of got like a bit of a hill on the side. I feel like someone would be able to climb up that and like put a ladder up or something. It doesn't seem like the front gate is the only entrance into that castle.
They're gonna do it under fire though, because there were defenders stationed on the roof.
Right, but
the crenellations.
You drop a little bit of artillery here and there, and they might keep their heads down. So there's that.
Now we have a better German commander than in real life. Thankfully.
We're gonna go out in the coolest looking castle in the world.
We sure did. It sounds like, by the way, if you're curious, there were around best estimates is there were around 20 German casualties, and again, the one killed and some number of wounded.
100 guys, you lose 20. That's huge.
The estimates.
I imagine that assault team got shut up trying to get to the castle under fire.
Oh yeah, it's definitely the assaulting team that got hit, and it's. I've seen estimates between 100 and 200, but the best I could see is that the actual assault was with 100. So they're very outnumbered. Seemingly, they're at least outnumbered 4-1.
All right.
Well, the third scenario idea is you do your breakthrough to stop the Germans, but I'm going to advocate for. I mean, this being the Castle Itter story, like Castle Itter is your scenario, right? It's the defense of the castle. Like, how do you do this battle, and that's not your scenario?
Totally. Well, I mean, you could even link it a little bit because there are 3 parts, right? There's the breaking through the little blockade, which we know almost nothing about, and it's this tiny little warm up fight. So you can kind of take it or leave it. And then you have the big initial attack into Castle Itter, which seems to be 100 Germans, hardened SS dudes, against something like 12, 13 prisoners who are armed and some who aren't, and like 15, I guess, in the end, Americans and the 1 tank. And then you have the relief force, which is like a company that comes in to smash whatever's left. So they're the 3 real parts, of which 2 of them are a lot bigger than the other.
Yes.
So is this like a triptych, or are we just picking one scenario? Austin, what do you think?
I think you just got to do one because you're really going for the main show, that being the castle. If you do that breakthrough initially, it's like, okay, it might just be 2 guys standing on the side of the road, just be like waving people through. It might not actually been much of a battle at all. And then a relief force with, a bunch more tanks coming. I feel like you got to make it one scenario with Castle Itter. That's your big show.
I agree with that.
That's cool.
Because if when you're doing a wargaming scenario, you don't want to do too much, right? I think there's definitely enough meat on the bone in the defense of this castle that you're going to get several hours of good gameplay just doing this assault. And, when the Germans more or less run out of time or some other, condition that gets the relief force to them, that's when we wrap it up and say, oh, you didn't take the castle in time. The relief force will crush you and you stop playing at that point. Like, that's your time window you look at.
I don't think anyone, unless you're crazy, is gonna model that whole huge castle.
I think if you do, you deserve a prize, and you'll probably be like best of show somewhere.
That's an award-winning PE.
Bring it to Historicon. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But for a one-off, I don't know. So I mean, and where were the Germans trying to go? I mean, they weren't trying to climb up the side; they were just trying to get in the gate, right?
Yeah,
That's
so
true.
you can definitely just model the gate, and you'll have where the actual fighting took place.
So I think, yeah, I mean, I think it's got to be a fight at the gate. Is the Sherman dead already? Or because I mean, what's the real point? Like you just have the 88 blow it up, right?
I think you don't kill the Sherman initially. I think you give it a chance to fight. You just let the German fire first from concealment because they probably did, but then
Yeah.
they roll the dice and they see what happens. Right? If they blow up something next to it, the tank can fight back.
Okay,
If the Sherman sticks
I'm
around,
good with that.
You could even
make it a
if
game.
you want to make it more. I like the idea of just letting the tank see how well it does. But if you want to be more historically accurate, you could do it as a variable because it wasn't crewed at the time, which is probably why it was so easily destroyed. They had the like one shot and it's done. If it had been crewed, who knows? Probably they would have just lost the crew. But if the first shot had missed, there was only one flak 88, it seems. So it would have had a
Wow.
chance for counter battery.
One flak 88 versus a Sherman.
It's not good. It's really not good.
Not so
From
good.
an
I mean,
unknown
the crew might not
distance.
have been on purpose. They might have been like, it's literally just a roadblock.
Yeah, it could be.
Like,
They could have decided it was indefensible
yeah.
or impossible for them to actually get any value out of being in
All
it.
right, so we're not gonna do kind of a triptych. We're gonna do this battle for the gate. Now, but the key, right, in the story is that the Germans are getting there and then the other company shows up, right?
Yes.
Shows up because our tennis star makes it out.
Oh yeah,
So I think that has to be part of the game. If
because
he doesn't get out,
I am sort of having some reservations about just sort of doing the castle defense, right? Because from the Allied side, it's arguably not that interesting. You're just going to sit in the castle and shoot
yes,
in most systems,
yeah,
and we do want to
yeah.
do something more interesting than that.
So I think what I'm going to propose, right, is you have the gate with that crazy pathway that we saw, right? That kind of which cool thing, and the Sherman's there.
Yep.
There's got to be some crenellation so we can have our French diplomats and chef. Like, got to have the chef, right? And you got to have some of the Americans, but you got to get someone has to escape to bring help, and before the Germans break in. So then you actually, instead of just having a defense, you have to hold, you have to have the defense, but you also have to have this offense to save yourself. And
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that could be cool. And I'm going to propose for rules 1 hour skirmish war games because it has all those cool characteristics for people. So you could give like the tennis star lucky, right? And there's one where you move faster. So you could take your characters. You could take Jack Lee. He could be like, Uber Commander. You could have your tennis star and you could give him things. You could have the chef. Maybe he's a morale guy. And then you could have your evil German. What was his name? Whatever.
Bachmann, I think.
Bachmann. I think there's something where it's like, he can like execute his own men to help their morale or something. Stuff like that. I don't know.
Whoa, that's very evil.
What are you guys thinking about that? What's that sound like?
I think that's actually a brilliant decision, in part because the 1 hour skirmish mechanics really start to give you a choice on the Allied turn as to how much are you going to spend having your rescuer guy move out. Right? So, like, is it going to be 4 actions to move 12? Are you going to burn 9 to move another 6? Or do you spend some of those shooting the assaulting German force?
Right. So if you haven't played 1 hour skirmish, when it's your turn, you flip a card from a 52 card deck, excuse me, and the number tells you how many actions you have. And so you have to kind of decide what you're going to do, what you're going to prioritize. So I think that's what you're getting at, Ben, right? Like,
yep.
You're going to prioritize the defense. You're going to prioritize the chariots of fire.
And there's a second rules mechanic in the game that also makes it great, and that's that when you shoot someone, they don't auto die. We don't actually know if they're dead until the end of the turn. So if the rescue guy's moving and he gets shot, he might be dead, he might not. It's going to come down to a card pull later. But that gives him a great mechanical chance to have a chance to get off the board, whereas in other games like overwhelming firepower from other positions around there would almost certainly kill him.
And by the reverse, I would argue that you should have the Germans start with a relatively small force and slowly get more, which makes it harder over time to deal with them. And your situation is if your tennis star Jean Baratra does get shot, if the Germans move into contact with him in that rule system, he's done. So you're really, as the defender, you need to clean a nice route for him out to prevent that. So it does make an interesting tactical challenge for the allied player that isn't just defensive, which
and the allied player doesn't have to just send one guy, right? You can send a couple guys to try and carry the message out.
So you got to play that balance of how much you leave to defend the castle.
Yeah.
What do you think, Austin?
So I was actually thinking 1 hour skirmish as well.
Nice.
I know. Well, I was thinking it back to that it was one of the first videos we did for the channel. It was one of the D-Day I can't remember exactly what it was, but we had a beautiful like setup.
Carentan or
Lafayette Bridge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, and who knows, maybe you'll think this is too much or not too much, but I was thinking you kind of start the scenario where the Germans have already blown up the tank and they're already stacking up at the door. And so you have this very tactical, like 28 mil urban, like, hey, we're knocking down the front. You know, the French and whoever else are already taking up some small positions behind the door, et cetera, wherever they're standing. But the German player might have to designate out of whatever forces they have, hey, you're going to be here to keep people from getting out, like that tennis player. So they make the choice of, well, how many people do I want to stack up for that to play the Sharks and Minnows game, and how many people do I want to actually keep for the assault? So that's kind of what I was thinking initially, because it's like, oh, how many people do I actually want to fight this little urban sort of fight, in a sense?
Right, got it. So let me just hear you here. So I think when it comes to attacking the castle, the Germans only have one way in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So you're saying they got to stack guys up. Who's going to charge the door?
Well, only because Matt was saying earlier, they already kind of were at the door, in a sense.
They had just like made it to the area in the courtyard, like just in front of the door, and they're starting to take fire from the
so
loopholes.
Did they get past the Sherman?
So
did they get?
They did not seem to get past the Sherman. Okay. I mean, I'm sure that they were trying to. They may have had like sapper equipment and were trying to blow the door, but the door was closed seemingly, or blocked by the Sherman, one or the other. So they weren't yet at the point where they were in.
But to what Ben was saying earlier, Ben was saying, oh, if you're the defender, it's just going to be boring, you know? So why not just skip over that a little bit and be like, okay, they're at the door, they put some charge on it, now they're through, and it's not just simply, oh, I'm standing behind this barrier, we're shooting. There might be some hand-to-hand combat, which is great in 1 hour skirmish where you're doing those counter card flips and whatnot. You don't know who's dead if they pop up later.
It feels
a little bit of a back and forth with that.
Yeah. It feels like that could be the culmination of what happens if the defenders overcommit to breaking out. Like if they leave too little on the walls, then they're in danger of that happening. Like you definitely give the Germans a way to break in, like a sapper unit or something that can blow the door. But I think if you start with that, it just becomes like a huge mess at the door. And you probably want a little more flexibility to have decisions as both players to try to break out.
Yeah, and I think the addition of sending your breakout forces to try and get through the German lines makes it much more of an interesting game for the defending player already. So I think Mark's idea there with the tennis player and other go get help forces really helps. And then your scenario objective is something like 4 or 5 turns after the guy gets off the board is when the scenario ends. And if the Germans haven't taken the castle by then, the relief force will arrive and take them out.
Right. And you got to have enough, like, to speak to Austin's things, the Germans have to have enough punch.
Yeah.
That if it goes way too long, like, they're going to win, right?
Honestly, I think they should just be slowly getting reinforcements every turn.
Yeah.
As the 100 men are converging.
If it's like a 5-turn limit, though, that time is really what balances the scenario.
No, there's no limit until you get guys off. Basically, if you don't get word out for people to come rescue you, eventually the Germans will overwhelm you.
So what's the mechanic to actually having that tennis player succeed?
I think there's 2 things. One is, I think that the Germans could lose if you just kill enough of them.
Yeah, that's fair. You could
because it's 1945.
Yeah.
And
these are, let's be fair, these are very hardline German troops who really did fight hard
like
for
when
this.
When the Americans showed up, they scattered. You were like,
well, they showed up with company strength with like a platoon of armor.
So they weren't going to fight if they wanted to fight to the last man, they could have just done it right there, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think there's And there's also a limit in the game, right?
Mhm.
I agree. It's kind of cool, more Germans show up every turn, but there comes a point where you can't get enough actions to do anything with them.
Yeah.
So
Plus,
you'll
if
kind of
the French kill
naturally.
100 Germans, you have to end the scenario at that point
I'm
anyway.
thinking more. I'm thinking definitely. I'm thinking more along the lines of casualties get replaced, and
Yeah,
they
yeah,
don't start with everything.
Yeah.
More like
yeah,
this,
yeah.
like never-ending horde that I get. Like you could have a breaking point for them. It would just
Well,
have to be
there's in the
high.
Yeah.
game, there's
There should
natural
be.
breaking point.
Right, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I would at least give their commander some juice to prevent
Oh
that
yeah,
because they're going to take
he's the uber
casualties.
evil guy
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
million. He's like a
Like maybe he
four.
can kill people to auto pass that morale check kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Going
There's all that in there.
Imperial Guard
I mean,
Warhammer here.
Commissar,
if you guys
yeah.
remember the Patton in World War One scenario, what's
Yeah.
really cool about that is Patton has this uber morale bonus, and if he gets knocked out, then the Americans don't get the bonus, and they tend to fold, right? So
Yeah.
we do the same thing with this, right? Like the
Yeah.
uber guy is just super uber, don't get him killed. So that sounds good. So then
Awesome.
it would be looking at that cool picture of the castle,
Mhm.
figuring out maybe going to Google Earth a little because I'm sure it's still there. Figuring out kind of the terrain around a little bit, like where does a chariot of fire run have to happen?
I think I can pull that up for you right now while
Oh,
we're
there you
talking.
go. That would be kind of
Yeah,
fun.
that'd be great. So yeah, on the table you basically got the front edge of the castle where the
Right.
defenders on that side of the wall are.
With that cool
and
little
then a
gate.
little bit of the side for your Frenchman to leap the wall and try and make his way out. Because we were looking at that castle earlier. There's like a sloped, incline on the sides. I guess that's where our Frenchman made his escape, is running down those
A
steep
lot of
slopes.
woods.
So this is when they said that this is a highly wooded area. They really don't have the defenders don't have line of sight until they're like right up there.
No, you're right. So I mean, there could
cool.
be some of a stealth aspect for our heroes to leave, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm sure that a lot of Germans couldn't see the guy. So I almost want to say maybe there should be some hidden movement for them.
Hmm. I
So
like
where
that.
did the 88? Where did they put the 88 to
I was
smoke
just
that
thinking
shot?
that it must have been just south in the woods to have a clear line
It
of
could have been
sight.
behind any tree in the world.
I
right?
will
Like-
say in the readings I saw, they said
Wow.
that this group observed the castle from an adjacent hill. So I actually think the 88 was like over here or something.
Probably, yeah.
Oh my.
Or
So
over here.
if you're only listening to this and not watching it, Matt has Google Earth up, and currently Castle Itter is on a hill, just totally surrounded by woods.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So if
There's
it
gonna
was
be a
like that
lot
way in
of trees on this battlefield.
1945, then it's kind of the tennis stars running through the woods.
Does anyone remember how to? Oh, there it is. Oh, it actually looks like there may be. Oh no, there isn't. It looked like there might be a walkability Google Earth button on this, but
Wow,
no, there is
that's
not.
pretty
Yeah,
rugged.
I don't know if the Google car
Macbeth would have stayed
got all the way
far
up
away
there.
from this castle.
No, it has like a path line, but it's not walkable.
All right. Yeah,
But no, this is oh, I guess we could actually see it from over in the road, maybe.
no, it has to be a blue line. Oh, there it
is a blue
is.
line.
Wow.
Wow, it's just
No, it's
very hilly over
Totally
here.
hidden.
Yeah, so we're on the ground view now on Google Earth, and it's just really hilly and really wooded.
Yeah, it's
So now I
but
can-
it's definitely a high point.
I can
I'm
Get
sure
a sense of how the guy made it.
I can now see why everyone made it out of this castle, because you are just immediately in the woods.
Yeah.
And you
Yes.
can just skulk around in there. So I am 100% in favor of some kind of hidden movement mechanic for our heroes trying to get off the board. So you could basically assault a castle and play Scotland Yard at the same time.
But then again,
Yeah.
back to what I was saying earlier, maybe give the German player a chance to shift a number of the forces that would be assaulting the castle to the ones actually preventing, that tennis player from leaving.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like,
absolutely.
if they succeed, then they elongate the game maybe to where they win the actual assault. But
Yeah, I
But then they have
think
fewer
that's
forces
the
for
key.
it. I
So
think that's
there's-
a very valid decision for the German player.
Yeah, yeah. All right, cool. All right.
Right.
So I guess we're basically kind of there.
Yeah, that's our
we
our
would
outline for the scenario.
model just the kind of front gate area of the castle. And Matt,
Yep, agreed.
you can lose that. We would model the front gate, which is kind of cool. It looks like you can make it out of pink foam pretty easily. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, you need essentially a bridge because
Right.
the bridge is there, and you need the gate itself, and I
the
guess you
front
need
part of
some
the
kind of
wall.
nominal. Exactly. You need something for the defenders to shoot from. So just a little section of crenellated wall.
And I think maybe to speak to Austin's point, it might be nice to have like one room or so behind so that if
Mm.
you break in, there's a little hand to hand, last stand kind of
So
thing.
I
I
think what's
agree with
clean
that.
is there's a courtyard. So what it is
Courtyard, yeah.
I'll share screen one more time here. We can talk about this part. So there's the bridge leads to this gate that we think that the tank was
Yes.
Basant and Jenny was sitting
Yes.
on.
Yes.
The gate itself seems to have been defended by a few defenders in firing from the crenellated area on top,
Yeah.
or the loopholes on top of the gate. And then behind the gate, there's a courtyard with an adjoining wall at the back of it with more defenders. So
Yeah.
that inner courtyard is, I think, what you model, right?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
where the melee might happen. That's where Yongle gets shot, is in
Right.
that courtyard.
Okay.
So the defenders are moving around in there.
So looking at this, like, if you're not watching, there's this cool little stone bridge that looks like you could probably barely get a Sherman over. And then an arched gate, right, which has kind of towers. There's a little crenellated wall that would encase the courtyard. So that's all you'd have to model. That would be
Yeah.
that'd
That's
be
what
kind
you
of
put
cool. It
out,
looks really
and then
cool.
if the Germans can just get enough soldiers in there, that's how they win.
Yeah, because then they're like, "Hey, we can have our last stand here. We're good.
Yep.
Party." And then then you would model all the kind of forested terrain around to see if the French star can get out, or whoever. You can send someone else, right? But you'd probably want to send him. And then when he gets out, there's a clock.
Yeah.
Right?
So the other question is, where is the French star allowed to exit from? Because everything I saw about him is that he vaulted the wall. So I don't think he ran out through the bridge. I think he ran out into the forests.
I agree. I don't think he ran out the bridge. They probably had that observation. So he probably went out, the left or right side of this castle, scrambled down that steep hill, and then got into the woods and went from there. So in our scenario, since we're modeling just the front of the castle, it's just going to have to be by necessity off the left or right side of the castle, and then you're just going to have to declare a board edge that he has to get off of to qualify.
So we might have to figure out special rules for his movement because it's going to be super difficult.
You mean
Well, it won't be difficult once he's over
the terrain is a cliff on one side and a cliff with a forest on the other.
The initial terrain is a cliff, but once he's past that, it's normal. So just saying he takes a full turn or two to just traverse the cliff and then can continue, I think is sufficient. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that.
I think you're right.
And then if he gets off, we could say it's X amount of turns until the Germans.
Or being 1 hour skirmish rules, you could also say, number of cards of a certain suit and count those.
Yeah, true. Or you could change the German morale.
Yep. You could also start decreasing the German morale and
the cool thing about that is then that makes the castle fight kind of more interesting again.
Yes,
because you want more German casualties to
right. Then it's like, all right,
trigger that.
We can break them easier now. Kind of a thing.
And then they'll run because the other companies are attacking. I like that.
It also means the Germans have to be a little more cautious in their attack because they can't just get everyone killed doing it.
Right.
Or you go hard, right, and try to beat the clock.
Yeah.
It
gives them a real decision.
I like that.
All right, so Battle of Castle Itter.
Yep.
We're modeling the front courtyard and the cool little entrance gate. The defenders have the tank, which is going to start non-destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have a bunch of French diplomats and, like a squad of Americans, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are 14 Americans, but you don't have to have them all at the front gate. So
I wouldn't put them all on one
around.
side. There'd be some on the side walls. We can abstract that. So you
there are
the numbers for balance.
There are 14 Americans and 7 Austrians. And actually, funnily enough, I don't think I mentioned, but in the middle of the first night, they send for more reinforcements from Virgil, and what shows up for them is a Kubelwagen with an old man and a teenager. So from the resistance, they get support. Yeah. So the last interesting question I think I would have is normally there isn't a lot of complicated command and control in 1 hour skirmish war games. This is a weird situation where there are Americans and Germans and French who don't all speak the same language. Do we want to represent that in any way? Have their orders cost more or something?
They
That
could
could
have
be
separate
interesting.
decks.
Separate decks is interesting.
Or the suit that you draw could dictate what you can use it on.
Which can help the Germans, who honestly I think may need help in this. From what we've described so far, there'll be so much permanent heavy cover for the defenders that they'll need something to help.
Yeah, so
them.
so if you draw hearts, it's got to be French units, and if you draw diamonds, it's got to be the American units.
Although, to be fair, like, does there need to be a lot of coordination? Guns are a pretty universal language as it is. You point in a direction over there. The guys who are shooting at you, shoot them back.
I do like the idea of reflecting it somehow. I think that helps give the scenario some nice character.
And also, it can put Jean Baratra at risk. It means you may want to send a couple guys out because one of them is French, one of them might not be.
That's right.
That's true. You want to
get the cards you
man
need.
The walls with a couple from each group.
Right, spread them out.
And each group will have its own morale.
Yeah.
So
that'd be interesting.
If the French leader gets killed, then the French troops might pack it in.
And if the chef dies, well, everyone just gives up.
That's bad.
Everyone's got to give up.
And when you're sitting in the castle, you got to be wondering, should I really send an American soldier back here? Because I don't know if French tennis guy is going to be able to convince American troops to come join us.
He did a great job, by the way. He got a uniform when he showed up and led them in.
Wow.
He demanded that they uniform him up because then he was going to carry a weapon.
All right, I was making fun of tennis guy, but he has won me over. He's a great guy.
Oh yeah, he's a bit of a hero in this one.
All right, guys, well, let's put a bow on this. That was pretty fun, pretty interesting. I love the tennis star.
Yes,
I think we could do something cool. And I think if someone made a really fun looking castle, it'd be an awesome Historicon event, right?
Absolutely.
And,
totally.
Be a cool
and
scenario.
also, I think 1 hour skirmish is a good campaign set of rules because it's pretty straightforward. Anyone can play it. A lot of fun.
And that's true. If you wanted to do the trifecta where you do a roadblock attack and then the castle and then the actual fight coming in, that's a pretty good system to try and do that in a reasonable time frame.
So over the course of the weekend, you could run different events with it.
Yeah.
Which would be fun.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, thanks, guys, for coming. This was really fun. I look forward to whatever the next one is. We'll see which one of us draws the short straw and has to come up with the event. But it's really fun. And thanks to all our Patreon members. We really appreciate you giving us this support.
Yes, thank you so much.
Really
Hopefully
fun.
you're enjoying the podcast.
And we're going to do more. If you are listening and you have some cool idea for a historical event, send it to our email, Mark Wargame Room at gmail.com. You can find it on our YouTube page, and I'll see it. No one else will see it, so I can always take it and make it into something, which would be fun.
Actually, I do the tech support around here. I'll see it too.
Oh no!
Dang it.
It'll be our little...
Don't put anything naughty in it. It's just for Mark.
So join us for our live streams. I think we're going to move them to the first Thursday of every month because Austin serves in the National Guard. We're very proud of his service. We thank him for that. But he tends to go on duty the second kind of weekend, so we're going to try to move it so you can join.
Do I get 10% off my Patreon order?
Yeah, awesome. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.
See ya.
Take care, folks.